So the school started, I believe, as a boys' school, and the name was something like the Grove Preparatory School for Boys. And I think that was the original name or thereabouts, but the word Grove was in it. And that's something that remains to this day, this idea of the Grove. And it's really central to the identity of the school, but it's sort of mysterious as well. You ask people, what does the Grove mean? What is the Grove? And you'll get all sorts of different answers. Somebody might say what I just said. It was the original name of the school. Some people might say, well, it's that area of trees out near the head of school's residence. Eventually, you'll begin to see that everybody sort of agrees. It's really the feel, where some schools might talk about spirit, or they might talk about the vibe of the school. That's the word that Lakefield uses to really refer to that sense of place. It's the Grove. The fact that it's such a different sort of word that they use to describe sort of their identity, I think it says a lot about the school, that it is different. And it is sort of a place where things grow, sort of off on its own a little bit, a community sort of unto itself with certain boundaries around it. That doesn't mean it's hermetic, but it's really the sense of community, the sense of belonging. Those are all the associations that people have with that word, the Grove. It is one of the older schools in the province, one of the older schools in the country. It was founded in 1879, and yet it doesn't feel old, and that's a compliment. I think it's been there, it's developed its traditions. It does feel very fresh. So it has the best of both worlds, and that's one of the things that gives the place its charm. And you go in and it doesn't announce itself to you in the way that some schools might. You go in and you begin to discover it. You drive in and you park there near the main building, and you'll notice that if you go at the right time of year, you'll notice that there are spiles on the trees. These maple trees are being tapped, and they make their own maple syrup. And they also have, I believe they have an apiary as well. These other little things that just catch your interest as you go, oh, wow, this is a little bit different. Oh, isn't that wonderful, you know? I mean, it's just this campus that's unlike any other. It does feel like you're out on your own. You're in this special place that you enter, and it's a community unto itself. The grounds are beautiful. The buildings aren't crowded onto it. There's a nice walk between buildings, and indeed, the students and the staff, they're outside all the time walking between buildings, no matter what the weather, etc. That's part of the experience. The lovely lawns and the lake. It's easy to be taken away by it, and you get a sense of the dedication that these people have to the whole project that is Lakefield College School, that it is a community. And I think it really gains its strength by being isolated and allowing those kinds of relationships to form and those kind of connections to form. I don't know if they arrived this way, but I think the students really gain a lot of strength from being part of this community. I think it really kind of inspires confidence. Again, I think there is certain pride in living that closely to nature, and again, trudging through the snow or something. There's a certain strength that comes from that. And I think the students also really have a lot of fun. The students really get a chance to know each other, but to know each other in those really significant ways. They're all there together. And so when you think of like a cabin group at camp, these are people that you know better than you know anyone else in life. And I think that that's something that the students at Lakefield take away from that experience as well. This total immersion and dedication to this environment. And then to have those long periods of time, no one's going anywhere. You're not running off to something. It's all here. And so then you have that time to really just sit and talk and get to know people in these very close and important ways. And again, the relationships are very much a part of the experience. And we talk about, the kind of values. Values are very important. Character education is very important to the school. And we can think about things like resiliency, which we often think of as sort of independence or whatever. But I think the staff of the school rightly see that resilience comes from being part of something greater than yourself. That you gain the strength from being rooted within a specific community. And you certainly see that at Lakefield. Because it's a boarding school, there are kids from all over the world. And that adds a great as you can imagine, it adds such a nice dimension to the experience of the school. We were talking about the Grove earlier, about this sense of belonging to this community, and that really extends well beyond the time that the students spend there. I think the alumni community is really very singular from Lakefield because it's all over the world, but the involvement that these people have, the kind of connection that they have to the school is almost unlike any other. And so, it really is a window onto the world, given the person that's sitting next to you maybe speaks a different language or comes from a different place. And then also knowing that all these other people are invested in the life of the school. We talk about experiential learning, and a lot of people talk about that, and what does that mean? And I think Lakefield almost has monopoly on that concept because they do it so exceptionally well, because you're immersed in this environment. It is the very definition of experiential learning, about doing it and being it and living the things that you're learning about. That is absolutely a priority of theirs, and I think they really achieve it. One day, I think it was the math class, they're measuring the height of a tree. So they're using different math concepts, but then taking it right out of the classroom. That they do that. They just really step out, okay, let's go out and measure the height of that tree using what we've learned here. And so really taking what you're learning and really applying it to the real world, but also living through an experience of going outside and taking these measurements and working together, and how do you figure it out, and then coming to an answer. It's really about thinking, making sure that everything you learn has a component in the real life of the students, that it has some meaning. In terms of the academic counseling as well, it is very much an open book, and so it involves, and I think one of the counselors said to me that he feels like he's counseling the parents as well, and he doesn't mean that in a negative way, but it means that he's working with the entire family to make sure everybody's happy with the decisions that are made, but also then the word he used was translating some of the things that they're learning about the student, and he's learning with the student back to the parents, so that everybody has a very good sense. And so that open communication, I think, is really great. And it is really very, very light and very friendly and very fun. And I think it is something that kids look forward to. It doesn't feel onerous. It feels more like a process of discovery that involves all these people. Anne-Marie Key is just one of those phenomenal leaders. It's hard not to gush about her because she's just so good at what she does. She brings a wealth of experience, a breadth of experience, and a lot of knowledge to the role as head of school at Lakefield. But really what strikes you when you meet her is just the quality of the person that she is. And I think that is really the cornerstone of the leadership of the school. She's just so human, and she interacts with everybody in such a human way. And you ask her, I asked her how she hoped students would see her. And she said, I hope they see me as someone who asks good questions, which is just such a phenomenal answer, such a great answer, and very true to how she behaves on the campus. She's there to listen and to have her ears open, to have her eyes open, to see what's going on and to be involved in all of it. And she just brings a real lightness to the environment as well. She's an excellent leader, but she's just a wonderful person to spend time with. And I think that really kind of colors all the experiences that people have. The word collegial is something that people use a lot. And really, I think in this case, it's just so warranted. The staff so clearly get along. They so clearly work closely together. I mean, you just see it just walking through the building, or I've met with a number of them in groups. And they're just involved in everything. They know what each other is doing. They're really all on the same page. And it really comes back to the idea of collegiality. I think you really get a sense that they not only work well together, but they absolutely enjoy each other's company. They all really appreciate that idea that outdoor education is so emblematic of the life of the school, and they love that. They love that they have this access to being in the out of doors and being active, and it's just a very, very healthy environment in that way. I think the thing that really makes the difference with Lakefield in terms of outdoor education is it's not something that's hived off. that it's that thing you do that 1 week of the year when you get on the buses and you drive up to a camp and you spend a week there and then you come back. I mean, it is right there. When we think of Lakefield, we don't want to say it's like a summer camp, but in a way it has some of the great attributes that summer camps do. One of them is the proximity to recreation. Students and staff do go skiing, Nordic skiing, in the middle of a day. When they have some time, they can do that. The track is right there. You don't have to drive to it. It's right there. You're also seeing the seasons change. You're also walking between buildings in the rain and in the sun and in the snow. So it's all of those experiences. What is your outdoor education? It is about active living, and that's what outdoor education is about, but it's about more than that, isn't it? It's about appreciating nature and understanding why it requires stewardship and you know how things change, just observing the changes in nature. And so that is an everyday experience. So that idea of nature as part of learning is something that they really kind of promote. And often in very specific ways. Like the grade 9 program has a course, if you take geography and physical education, that's one course. Geography and physical education are together. So clearly it's learning about the world around you and the geography of the area, but doing it through, getting out into it and experiencing it firsthand. Peter Andrus is involved in the outdoor education program, and he said this great thing, I thought was a great way to say it, is to be resilient, you have to be able to rely on each other, and that your strength comes from that. And so him using that sense in relating it to the students at the school, I think, it's one thing to say to have grit and to have resilience, but you can't have that alone. And that's very much a core value of the school. As with any school sort of an age, they have inherited traditions that have come along through the years. And I think there was a time when there was a religious inflection. I don't think there was any denomination necessarily. In any case, it's now non-denominational, but they still have chapel. And it's like no other chapel that I've ever experienced. You think of chapel as this place where everybody's very respectful and very quiet. And certainly it's respectful, but it's not quiet. It's very animated. It's a lot of fun. And it's a real eye-opener to see that this is what chapel means to them today. So it retains that name, but it's not a religious ceremony. There's a lot of freedom in that space, and the students present, and it's just a riveting thing to see. And I think it's one of these schools that, they have these opportunities, be it in chapel or maybe elsewhere, that you're not going to get out of the school without having presented at least a number of times to a large group of people. And that's part of the experience too, is getting up in front of people and doing it in a natural way and feeling free and not feeling that I need to perform, but just knowing that the people in front of you are all your friends and you can share a joke. And that's very much what chapel is like, in my experience of it anyway. Especially in recent years, there's been a rededication to sort of the character education piece. But I think in this case, they've done it in a much more holistic way. And it's under the banner of Thrive. And it's the idea about creating balance in one's life, but not just relating it to just one aspect of their lives, but relating to all aspects of your life. So, balance in terms of the activities that you do, being active, living a healthy lifestyle, eating well, but also looking at things like sleep. Are you sleeping well? Let's consider that. And so it really infiltrates all the programs of the school. It's not sort of a class that you go to, but it encapsulates the wellness program as it existed before with all the counseling and everything, but also even into the classroom instruction. It's a large umbrella, but it's a dedication to that idea of balance within one's life, with one's experience of the campus, but also creating those habits that the kids will have with them for the rest of their lives. The school's values are very much centered around community, and if you can have rootedness within a community, then all those other character aspects come from it as well, including empathy and sympathy and even grit. I mean, this is the source of all of those things. So when I say in the book about, the middle of nowhere can be the center of the universe, essentially, I think that the kids see it in that way because it really is the center of their universe while they're there and even after that. And they just gain such strength from participation within that community. And so rather than kind of hiving off character education, it really is, although it's a focus of the school for sure, it really is a product of the entire experience of being with these people together in this community, very much, again, in the Grove, the way they conceive it. This feature review has been published as a book, and it's also available online at ourkids.net.